I haven't made a video in a little while, but I'm becoming more and more appalled and concerned because Israel's war crimes are getting more and more heinous, and the more I learn about it, uh, the more I realize that this occupation, as well as this genocide, has got to end. And I would like to read a few of the war crimes, not in great detail that I know of. Just to name a few, they've attacked every hospital. There hasn't been any safe haven for civilians. They found the Palestinians and Palestinian journalists and medical people, and found that there were bodies buried outside of Al Shifa Hospital, I believe it was. And they were civilians, they were children, old people, patients, medical staff in scrubs. They all had their hands tied behind their backs. Some had IVs attached and catheters. Israel's always going on about, oh, Hamas uses human shields. Well, an Israeli army truck drove around the West Bank, which isn't even Gaza. West Bank is not the part that they're supposed to be even at war with. That's where Jesus was born. Bethlehem's in West Bank. It's actually a beautiful area, mountainous. It's not on the beach. It's a different part of Palestine, but it's also apartheid and occupied. They drove with a Palestinian who they wounded, tied to the front of the truck, and passed ambulances and didn't get help for him. He finally ended up in a hospital and told all about it. They sent tents on fire. Everyone saw that. That was horrible. Tents burning, kids screaming while their parents are getting burned alive in tents. They killed 270 Palestinians and 3 hostages, including 1 American hostage, while rescuing 4 hostages. Many of the hostages they've killed with the bombs, and one of them was even gassed. They blamed it on his death on Hamas, but his mother had an autopsy done, and he wasn't harmed by Hamas. He was killed by the gas that the Israelis put down the tunnel. They killed 3 Israeli hostages that were saying help in Hebrew, who had written SOS with leftover food. They were holding white flags. They had removed their shirts, and they did everything they possibly could to show they needed help. They've killed Palestinians waving white flags, including old people and children. They shot over 100 people in Gaza that were trying to get aid from an aid truck. They've killed journalists, over 100 at least, medical workers, Doctors Without Borders, aid workers. UNRWA has been attacked numerous times, and by the way, UNRWA is not a terrorist organization. They're completely legit. There was nothing, that was just another Israeli lie. They killed the World Central Kitchen workers. Those are the Chef Andre's people, in a clearly marked car with a clear logo. 1 was American, 1 was Australian, 1 was Palestinian, and 2 were British nationals. And Biden was mad about this, of course, because there were some white people, I guess, killed, but one of them was Palestinian. But then, of course, it's so that there's no food, because they were helping. But that very night, they were all happy and smiling because they were cooking for the people of Gaza. And that lovely girl from Australia, young woman, she was about 40. I think they were ages ranged from like 20s to 40s, but she was like, looked so happy that night, and they were killed that very night. They've destroyed the third oldest church in the world. They've destroyed mosques. That was in Gaza. Mosques, schools, universities, refugee camps, archives, homes, a kindergarten, bombed children that were playing with a foosball table outside. They've told them to go places and then bomb them wherever they are, so they're never safe. They bomb refugee camps, everything. They've used illegal white phosphorus on children. It reignites in the body. That's what's the most horrible thing. There's more child amputees in Gaza than anywhere in the world. It's just terribly, terribly tragic. This shouldn't be happening. They left babies to die in a hospital. They made everyone leave the hospital they raided and said they would take care of the babies, the premature babies, but they left them to die in the incubators. And they didn't allow the hospital to have fuel or anything or electricity, so the incubators ceased to work and the babies starved. You know, babies have to have milk to live. The siege on water, fuel, electricity, and destruction of homes and infrastructure. They've also prevented births. They shot a woman who was pregnant in the stomach right in front of her child. Her child testified this, and they have many women with high rate of miscarriage. Women have had C-sections with no anesthesia. People have had a young woman's uncle had to amputate her leg with a kitchen knife, and she fortunately got to go to Denver, Colorado, where she was greeted by a doctor with a bouquet of flowers, and she's going to get a prosthesis. But the fact is that people shouldn't even be having to get a prosthesis. This is horrible. I've seen children with prostheses. They're lucky if they were able to get them, but this shouldn't be happening. This should not be happening. I mean, they're disabling people. They're maiming people. They're killing people. And burning people. There was a girl that was burned terribly. I don't want to go on and on with the horror stories. It's just that my point is that this basically is Nazism. And you know, my whole life I was taught to believe that, you know, being American, you're supposed to support Israel or something, but I didn't know until this genocide. The first thing that made, it's not about me, but the first thing that made a light bulb turn on in my head and change me was when I heard, I think it was Gallant, who's the other one of the ones that the ICC is going to have an arrest warrant for, him and Netanyahu, saying we're going to turn off water and electricity and because they're just human animals. And that was it for me. That was it. This has to stop. I don't know how it's going to stop because the president isn't stopping it, and I know that Trump would only make it worse. He doesn't care about Palestinians, and his son-in-law is drooling over Gaza because he wants it for pride. It's just sick. I don't even want to go there. I just want to say that this genocide has to end, and I'm not gonna, you know, say the G word and ending with E. I'm not afraid of the algorithms because when I look back on this, I'll know that I was on the right side of history. Because it's the same as the Holocaust. If we support Israel and what they're doing, it's like supporting the Nazis. And that's all I have today. I wish I had better news, and Israel still isn't really letting aid in. They lie about it, and then those settler groups, they stop the aid. And then there is some nice Israelis who are, there's an Israeli woman who's a lawyer, and she's Iraqi Israeli, actually, like she's born and raised in Israel, but she's like an Arab Israeli, and she and a group of people tried to stop them, but the IDF supports the settlers, and it's just very, very cruel. They don't care about the Palestinians. They're not aware. They have no empathy, no compassion, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. If you makes you uncomfortable, that's fine. You don't have to listen to me, but I'm uncomfortable with the silence, quite frankly. I'm uncomfortable that people are not talking about it. But anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.